Alright. So today we got our lower A workout. So just like the upper A workout, this is going to be our lower body session whenever we're using the heaviest weights. So to start things off, we're just going to start off with a basic barbell back squat. We're going to do 3 sets of 7 reps at an 8 RPE for all sets. And just a couple little quick cues on this is, as you'll notice as you watch me kind of unrack the bar, the cage I was on, the height on it was a little bit off of what I needed, so I actually had to kind of like raise myself up on my toes a little bit to unrack the bar, which is not ideal. But essentially, as you watch me squat, you'll notice that I keep each rep independent of each other. So I'll do a rep, I'll come back up to the top, I'll pause briefly, I'll take a deep breath, and then I'll initiate the next rep. And I do this compared to, just blending all the reps together and trying to get them as quickly as possible, just because this allows me to maintain better technique and better tightness as I do the exercise. So kind of like if you reset between each rep, it allows you to get everything tight again. It allows you to take a big breath of air, so that way you can better protect your spine as you're going and progressing through the set. Because I'm sure you've noticed, if you're doing like a long set, 7 reps isn't super long, but if you're doing a longer set of an exercise, especially like a big compound exercise like the squat, towards the end you'll lose some of that tightness, your form will get a little bit worse. So just kind of resetting each rep this way kind of helps to prevent from doing that. I can also go through, if you guys want, a kind of how I warm up for my lower body sessions. One thing I always do is kind of once I've gone through my general warm up and kind of some band work, is I always start off with some body weight squats, and that just helps me to kind of get the motor pattern down, get the range of motion down to make sure everything's looking okay and feeling okay. And then I'll kind of slowly, I'll start with, for me I start with about, after body weight, I'll move to 135, then 185, then 225, then I'll just kind of keep progressing up from there until I get to my working weight. And one thing you'll notice, and you can tell from the back angle, is because I sat all day yesterday after my workout, I actually had a really hard time of opening up my hips and getting my knees out, and you can see that it kind of at the bottom, it's causing my lower back to round over just a little bit. So I probably should have done a little bit more mobility work before I started this session, but yeah, I'll just keep that in mind for next time. My rest periods for squat and then as well as deadlift were probably anywhere from maybe 4 to 5 minutes between sets. So like I said, for this workout, our main focus is going to be really on trying to move the heaviest weights possible. So if you need to take a couple of minutes, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes between sets, that way you can fully recover, and that way you can push yourself harder on the next set, then by all means do that, unless you're in a time crunch or something like that. But like I said, for myself, I rest 4 or 5 minutes between these sets, and as we get heavier throughout the block, I might even rest a little bit longer. So moving on, after the squat, we're just going to some conventional deadlifts. We're doing 3 sets of 5 reps at an 8 RPE for all sets. And you'll notice kind of my warm-up is similar to the squat, and that I'll start with maybe 225 on the bar since I'm already a little bit warm, and I'll progress to maybe 275, 315, and then kind of up from there until I get to my working weight. And even for myself, I'll do something what's called like an acclimation set. So like today, I did my 3x5 using 355 pounds. So what I'll do is after I've warmed up, before I actually start my first set of 5, I'll actually do a single. So I'll just do 355 for a set of 1, just to kind of get used to what that weight feels like. And also, since we're using a form of auto-regulation to program our loads, it lets me get a feel for what that weight is going to feel like, and if I think, if I was to do it for 5 reps, where would that kind of put me as far as fatigue and reps to failure. So, and with the deadlift as well, you'll notice that I reset between each rep. So, and it's pretty much for the same reasons as the squat. When you reset between each rep, you are able to maintain better tightness, keep better form, so it just helps prevent injuries and things like that. And also, if you're somebody who does competitive powerlifting, you're really only doing a single for powerlifting. So by doing each rep independent of each other, it lets you get more practice at initiating the pull without some people will bounce at the bottom or do other things to kind of generate momentum after that first rep. That's why, like, you'll notice it, if you don't reset between each rep, you'll notice that the first rep is always the hardest, until you get to the end of the set, but the first rep's always the most challenging, and then reps 2, 3, and 4 are actually feeling easier. And that's because you're taking advantage of stuff like the stretch reflex. You're getting some, like I said, if you're bouncing at the bottom, things like that. So for me, I just prefer to reset between each rep and really try to focus on my technique and my form. And then just one, I guess I'll just give you guys a cue for the deadlift as well. And this is just something that I learned a few years ago, and it helped out a lot. And that's when you're deadlifting, a lot of people think about pulling the bar up towards your hips. But what you actually want to do is, once you get tight and once you get set, you actually want to think about driving your feet into the floor and think about the deadlift as more of a push. So instead of thinking about pulling the bar up with your back, actually just get really tight, have a big breath of air so your spine is stabilized, and then drive your feet into the floor and try to push the platform away from you, at the same time driving your hips towards the bar, and that'll allow you to engage your stronger muscle groups. But that's something that, just thinking of the deadlift as a push versus a pull is something that really helps me as far as my technique and my form. And then moving on, just for the final exercise, we're just doing 4 sets of 8 reps of the standing calf machine. So for the first 3 sets, we're going to use an RPE of 8, and then for that 4th set, we're going to take it to an RPE of 10, so to failure. And I believe I'm just going to show you, probably my last set. One thing, just a quick cue for this exercise, is before I actually start my working sets, my first set of 8, I'll do, again, 1, maybe 2 warm-up sets, and that's just to, increase my ankle range of motion, kind of warm up my gastroc and my soleus, my calf muscles, so warm the muscles up and just really help to increase my range of motion, so that way when I start my working sets, they're already warm and I'm not starting off with this, really limited range of motion. And then another thing you'll notice is that at the bottom of each rep, I'll actually pause for maybe about 2 seconds. So I'll lower my heels towards the ground, and once they're fully lowered, I will pause and then push through the balls of my feet until my calves are fully contracted. So instead of letting the weight, and kind of instead of shifting onto your toes, you actually want to keep the weight centered over your balls, over the balls of your feet the entire time. So as you're lowering the weight stack down and as you're pressing it back up, keep the weight centered over the balls of your feet. Like I said, at the bottom, pause for about 2 seconds, and then exhale, push through the balls of your feet, and drive the stack up until your calves are fully contracted. Alright, so I just finished a workout. That workout took me about an hour and 10 minutes to complete. It's not a super long workout, literally just 3 sets of squats, 3 sets of deadlifts, and then 4 sets of calf raises. So it really just depends on how long you rest between sets is what's going to determine how long your workout is. But like I said, for this workout, we really want to take our time, go slow, and focus on moving the most amount of weight possible. And then don't forget to check the description box below, and I'll just have the full workout listed down there. So we trained upper body yesterday, lower body today. We'll take tomorrow off, and then we'll get right back into a different upper body workout the next day. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you. Have a good workout, and I'll see you guys later.